People's station for over 70 years. 1350 AM, 104.7 FM, WLOU Louisville. The original soul of Louisville. Online at WLOUFM.com. 104.7
Oh my gosh, what did I want to be when I grew up? As a little girl, I grew up in the church, okay? And so growing up in the church, I believe we were the apostolic faith, which means we stayed in church all day. And I remember to keep me settled down, my grandmother would pull out a piece of paper and a pen from her purse, and I would be entertained for hours. On that paper, I drew my own talk show. For some reason, I came up with the name, the Sandra Collins Talk Show. But it was a stick figure. Stick figures everywhere. I had the stage, I had the studio audience, and I literally would entertain myself for hours with this make-believe talk show. And my twin sister told me years later, she said, I would be so jealous because you would be so into what you were doing. And she said she would try to do it, but it didn't work for her. But I would say as far back as I can remember, I knew I wanted to do talk. I went to school for journalism, but big shout outs to my journalism teacher my senior year in high school. It was my senior year, really didn't do well academically during school, kind of floated through, didn't know what I wanted to do. And she actually put a name for the profession that I would later go on to aspire in and flourish in, and that was journalism. I remember my senior year not really having any direction. She said, you know what, Krystal, you can go into journalism. If you go into journalism, you can go into TV, you can do radio, you can do public relations, you can write, so many different avenues you can go down with a journalism degree. So that's all I needed. I knew whatever I was going to do, I'm just going to go on this journalism field. So went to school, got a degree in journalism, and Mark talks about his full circle moment. This is mine. My very first job after I finished college was at a station called Indiana 9 there in Clarksville, Indiana, and my boss was Mr. David Smith. He actually gave me my first opportunity in broadcast journalism, and fast forward, here we are nearly more than a decade later, and David is the new owner of WLOU Radio. And so that's my full circle. What do I like most about being in radio? I love the art of conversation. I love the opportunity to inform our listeners. I love the opportunity to inspire our listeners. I love the opportunity to educate our listeners. I was reading an article years ago, and Dee Dee McGuire, who was the co-host on Doug Banks' show, she says radio is to do those three things: inspire, education, and inform, inspire, and educate. And that's exactly what I love to do. I like to tell them the latest celebrity gossip or the latest thing going on in the news, but also share stories from my own life in an effort to encourage and inspire. So that's what I love most. Well, I will say my hobby right now is the news. I can't get enough of news. I've really become a news junkie during 2020. I used to always love watching the news as a kid. I could tell you all of the local anchor men and women, and I loved Barbara Walters. I had an affinity for Barbara Walters, and I love my girl Oprah Winfrey. So I guess I'm going back to what I know. I love news. My husband gets on me about it all the time. He's like, oh my gosh, can you turn that off? Because I have it in my car, I have it at home. And so that's what I'm into right now. Cable news. Now, as far as breaking down the album specifically, kind of like my personality, I kind of have a mesh of different things make me who I am. So I will say I'm really on a Her kick right now. I really enjoy the artist Her. She is so dope and so mellow. So something from Her. Of course, I got to put some Jilly from Philly in there, okay? Miss Jill Scott is my girl. Then I'm going to be needing a little bit of inspiration, so I'll do some Travis Green or take it back with some John P. Key or some Fred Hammond. And I'm really gotten into Miles Davis as well and some Ella Fitzgerald. So a little bit of all of that. Oh, and some soft rock, maybe some Journey or some Johnson. My favorite Bible verse would be one that was brought to my attention from someone I considered my spiritual mother. Lost her unexpectedly actually a few weeks ago. But when I met her about 4 years ago, she taught me the power of thoughts, how thoughts become things, and the power of what you could say, a sunny disposition. She taught me how we need to speak those things as though they were. And she always taught me about making sure that you always have a positive mindset. So mine will be Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things of good report, if there be any praise, think on these things. What a timely word for 2020. We have been dealt with so much, but if we just keep our eyes on things that are lovely, things that are just, and on Him, He will keep us in perfect peace.
The People Station for over 70 years. 1350 AM, 104.7 FM, WLOU Louisville. The original soul of Louisville. Online at WLOUFM.com. 104.7